Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Good evening if you're on the other side of the world. Welcome. We'll get started. My name is Julianne Duffy, and thank you for joining me. Every week I come here live, and now I'm doing my first week live streaming to YouTube, both vertically and horizontally, and to Facebook and Rumble. So we'll see how that works. And then next week, we're going to add on TikTok. So today we're live and we're going to go over the energies for the week. So we're going to look at the combination of numerology, elements, and Western astrology to give us some guidance on how the week is going to go. So let's get right into it and talk about what this week carries. Okay, so this week is a distinct tone of forward activation. The lunar cycle builds waxing crescents. So what we're happening with that, and then we begin approaching the full moon and lunar eclipse just beyond the window past the 22nd. So what happens is the energy is no longer about clearing and dissolving. So we've been clearing, we've been dissolving, we've been having things go. It's not about that anymore. It's now about choosing the direction. So with the first quarter moon, we have a visible turning point. Well, growing light towards the eclipse, which intensifies momentum and focus. So that's what we're going to see. And the theme for this week, so the theme, what we're going to feel for today, the 22nd till March 1st, that's this week we're looking at, is stabilization, decisive movement, and rising intensity. So this is not a passive week. So it's not about being passive, and reflect. It's more energetically supportive. So we've had a lot of weeks where it was more about reflecting, more of that type of stuff. And this is now energy, right? Going forward. So committing to direction rather than circling possibilities. This is also really good for addressing friction directly instead of postponing it. So again, it's like dealing with things directly on, translating ideas into visible action, momentum through structured effort. And what we'll see across the entire week is really grounding and stabilizing the momentum. So this is not about, what do I have here? Starting over. It's not about starting over. This is not a starting over week. It is about moving forward with clarity. So that's the summary of the week. It's really that it's not passive. It's not a reflective week as much as we are now starting to take the steps and go forward with our momentum. Okay, so let's get into it and we'll look at today's energy. So today and tomorrow, we're looking at the combined for February 22nd and 23rd. And the energies we go from universal numerology, 7 to 8. So a review from material focus, one that favors reflection and refinement, going into practical movement and measurable progress. And then in the elements, we have in the Western, we have earth we're bringing in, and on the Vedic, it's fire to earth. So really, we're getting a lot of earth and some fire. That is the combined elements for Sunday, Monday. And that's really the earth is bringing the stabilization, the pacing, the resource awareness, and the practical grounding is what it's bringing. And then the fire is initiation, directness, and forward impulse that cleans with clean starts. So that's what they are bringing in. So momentum with restraint. So it really favors actions and is that are sustainable. So actions that are sustainable and moving towards being more deliberate, right? So deliberate, sustainable actions is what is recommended in the elements for Sunday and Monday. Then when we get into the Vedic astrology, we have the sidereal moon transitioning from Aries into Taurus. So this is where direct initiative begins. So slow into consolidation. Early impulses give way to securing what is tangible and workable. So that's what we're seeing in the Vedic. And then on the Western side, we've got the tropical moon in Taurus, which shifts towards stability, finances, comfort, and tangible results. So the emotional tone favors steadiness over speed. So the two of them together, what we're really seeing for Sunday and Monday is a period that supports grounding recent ideas into something concrete. So it's really the time to act where it's necessary and prioritize durability over urgency, right? So this is really summarizing up that what we want wants to be stable, grounded, and real, right? We don't want to have anything else that's going to be able to be just like pulled the rug from under us, right? We want to get rid of the things that don't have something to stand on, okay? And I'm going to give an example that I just had in my real life because this is completely appropriate about how we are tired of these destabling things, and it's just becoming apparent that even when you're doing your best to stabilize in this reality, there's way too many things that are not stable, not right, and really, well, I'll let you make the decision, okay? So yesterday we're now in Florida, and we've been in Miami for an event. We went to an AI event, and we actually went to a new release for Brito. So Romero Brito, popular artist. We actually have artwork from him. I really like his art style, and we took our daughter to his studio because he was signing things, and you could see his new artwork. So we're like, well, we might as well go, right? And my daughter actually made a pin inspired by one of his art pieces, which was super, super cute. And she gave it to him, and it was great. So we had this little great time, went and met him, and we'd parked. So we'd parked in Miami Beach, city of Miami Beach, okay? We parked in a parking lot, paid for parking. We weren't even gone an hour, and we come back, and our vehicle was gone. Our vehicle was towed from a parking lot. We've never been towed from a parking lot. We purposely go out of our way to ensure that we are paying for parking. So, who wants to go and have no vehicle, right? So we're like, are you kidding me? Right? So we hunt it down. We're like, what's going on? Oh, conveniently, we're like a 5-minute walk. 5-minute walk from the tow truck company. My husband talks to the guy on the phone, and he's like, well, I paid. They didn't disagree that we didn't pay, but they towed us anyways. And then we're overhearing the people in front of us. They went to pick up fast food. So went to pick out a takeout order, and legitimately in that time frame of going to pick up a pickup order, wherever they parked, again, must have been this lot. There must be these lots because what we did some research after. They got towed. So this is what happened. They literally are preying on people parking in these parking lots. They're preying. They are legitimately have a tow truck waiting that as soon as you pay, even if you pay and park and have done your part, they are going to tow you and and eat and legally steal your vehicle. That is what has happened. And it's normalized and practiced in the city of Miami Beach. You will not convince me otherwise because listening to the couple in front of us, they had a $250 fine, and they literally went in and out. Like they were waiting to steal these people's cars. Okay. Don't know if they did pay or not. We know we paid. We weren't even gone an hour, and it was $450. So there's something about this because we're like, there is no possible way it could be that much. And then you're like, when those people went to do literally pick up food and they got a $250 fine, there is a scam. There is a systemic scam in Miami Beach that I bet the tow truck company also owns all those parking lots. And with the signs, because even after we were towed, we went through every sign. There's no sign. There's no sign saying you can't park there or anything. Like, we followed the signs. And the kicker of it is there's nothing you can really do, right? Like, I can do a formal complaint, I can do everything, but the reality is the system supports it. I would guarantee somebody on the city council knows it because we looked up Google reviews. All over, people were reviewing it. This is Jennifer Lopez's fucking tow truck company. Just suspicious AF. I'm just saying, and everything did not match. And the fact that they can steal your vehicle, you pay it, and I'm like, there's nothing we can do. And if you're a Miami Beach, Florida resident, you can pay with credit card. But if you're not, you have to pay with cash. And you know why they do that? It's because they've scammed you and there's no repercussion. So they can hold your vehicle hostage legally, even though you didn't break any rules, didn't do anything illegal, because this is a built-in scam in Miami Beach, Florida. Okay? And they can still steal your vehicle, charge you whatever. Now, like, what if you were gone for 2 hours? I'd have $1,000 charge to get my truck after I paid. And then it's only cash. So we used up all the cash we had to take out more cash to pay, because I was already low on cash, to pay to release my vehicle that you stole from me legally. To find out that when you're in Miami Beach, Florida, ensure you only park on the street. Do not park in a parking lot. Do not. If you have to park 20 blocks away, is better than having your vehicle towed and literally 15 minutes you've got a $250 ticket. Just going to say, that is what we're sick of. We are sick of these these hidden scams, because I do my due diligence to legitimately avoid difficulty in my life. I do. I don't want my vehicle towed. I'm going to play their bullshit rules to ensure that my life is easier. And when you do it and you still get from Jennifer Lopez's towing company, and then you hear other people's experiences. And then I felt bad for this one guy because he was clearly crying, calling everybody, begging to send him money to get his vehicle out. What a horrible story. Because really, I'm going, we're lucky enough that I could come up with that cash. But if it had been a few hours, what if I couldn't even come up with that kind of cash to get it out? Right? This is a systemic problem that I'm very sure they'll know about. The whole Miami Beach city, they're aware. That's why locals are smart enough to not park there. It is literally a predatory attack to anybody who is not a local. They're going to steal it. And they were on fire taking people's vehicles, and they were really highlighting people that had trucks. They were towing in a lot of trucks. And I have a difficult believing that everybody didn't pay for their parking. They probably did. And there's nothing you can do. The most you might get is maybe if you paid for parking on your credit card, you might be able to fight that and get your $10 or whatever the parking was. You're still out your $100 that you can't even go back and fight because they want cash only. I love living in this reality. So that gives you the idea of where we are now, right? So turning impulse into structure, right? So at this point, structure, learning more structure as well and more clarity, right? Because it is necessary that we prioritize durability over urgency, right? And clearly, that scam is urgency over durability. It's not in the end, at some point, that scam is going to come back when everybody's aware and nobody's it's going to cut out. There's going to be some balance of where that scam will blow up on them. And I just sit there and go, the people that work there even know it's a scam because they're telling they get yelled at. I feel bad. I wonder if they get compensated enough to be doing such a dirty job for such a unethical piece of shit company, because how much they must get yelled at. And that's why he's got a bulletproof fucking glass there. It's so people don't rage and literally go after the employee for a bad business design that is scammy as fuck. Anyways, how to make it through Sunday and Monday. You are going to imagine, so collectively, what we're going to see today and tomorrow on the collective is people focusing on money. There we go. It was money. I'm not going to lie. I was more than pissed that my hour was $450 parking. So yes, money will be our topic. It's been a topic for a while, still coming up, right? Money, logistics. I'm talking about logistics as well. So interesting. It's already come up in my life. And practical decisions. That's what we're going to see on the collective. We might also imagine that there's less tolerance for chaos or rushed plans, right? I'm saying I have no tolerance for it. I feel like I've run into every scam available to then find, I didn't know that this was a scam. And being the fact that I've actually traveled North America and driven and hauled my trailer across North America multiple times, this is the first time I've had this scam. It's quite amazing, actually. It's I didn't even know this was a scam, but it only works if you've got the local government in on it. And famous support, Jennifer Lopez and the local government. I love how all of it is very, very, it just justifies the point of what is wrong with government. If it can be corrupted, it is not a structure that we can use. And it is all corrupted. It is. There is no level of government that I believe is not fully corrupted. Even in the village I come from, there is corruption at the village level. That was a very difficult thing when I moved out of the city to a smaller community, and then interacting with the community to find out corruption is so ingrained that you think, oh, I can make a difference. And you can't, because corruption is ingrained at the deepest levels, even at the top, or even at the base of a freaking village, okay? So less tolerance for chaos and rushed plans. Shifting from debate to implementation is what we're going to see on the collective. Now, what you might feel in your personal life, so what you might imagine in your personal life is simplifying and slowing down. You're having that call today, tomorrow, just taking moments, taking some breath, right? You also will imagine seeing yourself reviewing budgets, timelines, physical priorities, just kind of relooking at those, right? We might also imagine that we're acting on one clear initiative rather than multiple scattered ideas. So, kind of getting the ideas and just going forward with the clear, kind of the blueprints we're putting out that are clear and we can build on, right? And then we also might imagine for today and tomorrow for Monday that we're choosing stability over emotional reaction. Okay. So again, it's just stability over emotional reaction. Not gonna lie, that's pretty emotional raged. But I did not yell at the guy working there because he's just doing his job. So I'm just gonna rant. Just gonna rant to myself and my husband. We just ranted at each other as we drove. Because what do? You're like, oh my God, I can just inform you. You can go put another Google rating, but nobody looks at parking Google reviews until you've been told to go, holy crap, I need to start looking at Google parking reviews before I park anywhere. Because I didn't even know I wasn't doing the due diligence of that. So there you go, right? Now, how we finish off, imagining how we're going to get through today, Sunday, the 22nd, and Monday, the 23rd. Imagine making one practical decision that increases your stability. Focus on tangible progress, not symbolic wins. Symbolic wins are great, but look at progress. That's what you want to see. You want to see the steps of progress being built, okay? And then conserve energy for what produces real return and move forward only where the ground feels solid. So if it feels like you've built a base, go forward. Go forward. So that is what you can imagine and see for Sunday and Monday. Hello, thank you, Caleb. Thank you for joining me. Welcome, welcome. And Pink Panther, thank you for joining me. Okay, on the note of what I wanted to bring up, because I think this is actually, I know this is completely relevant. It is about moving forward only where the ground feels solid. And this I'm going to take for a moment to share something I have been building that is solid. So I've been promoting, if you've been following, I have been promoting an app I have built, which is the Awakened Light app. Okay. And I've kind of given you guys little overviews. If you've watched, I did post yesterday a video. It's a 2-hour video where we do over an hour where I run you through the app and all the amazing things this app does. And I want to show you something quickly here, just to give you an idea of why I love this app and how good this app is. So this is the Awakened Light app. Okay. So when you get into this, and this is why I'm still looking for beta testers. So this is like the last call out. If you want to try this system for free, this is the last shout out. This is the final week. I am going to take any more beta testers. This will go into being a live product in June, and there will be no more free beta testing. So you are aware. But what we've got here going on, so you log in, we've got a side screen that's got the panels there. And the first thing I've added that I really want to highlight, because this came back as feedback, was like, well, how do you know it's right? Because I have been programming it and doing vibe programming and using AI. However, I am a stickler for accuracy. If there is anything for me, building this app, the most important thing has been accuracy. I am not building stuff for the information to be BS coming back to me. And this is also the incentive to why I did it, is learning to be able to use AI to read your charts is great, but annoying because you're constantly propping because AI forgets what it's doing or forgets information and then starts generalizing and hallucinating. So I've made a product that I can completely stand behind that works well and I love. So this Awaken Light, this first thing I wanted to highlight that I didn't have last time is this accuracy method. So here I explain in here why the page exists. It's to give you this feedback that you know that this works, right? So some people are very analytical, want to know the ins and outs. Other people just want to know, yeah, you're not giving me AI hallucinations. It's not doing that. No, this is what it is. So it talks about how how all the things are calculated. It explains them here. It gives you the technical details that are running the website, and you have a place where you can test it and then take those answers and compare them to AstroSeek or astro.com, any of those big websites for those type of astrology apps, right? Astrology products. So when we're here, that is the first thing is you are seeing it is programmed. It is pulling the same type of databases. It's doing the same kind of calculations as AstroSeek, astro.com, all of those astrology websites. Okay. So I want that. That's the first thing I put in there. You can test it yourself on the app to confirm it's not. It's not going to hallucinate. It's going to be accurate. Now, one thing that I want to show, which is a good example of why this tool is wonderful. So I've talked about you get your daily, you get your weekly, you get your monthly guidance. But what's really awesome, I want to show you a feature because there's so many features, but I'm only going to highlight this one and then we'll go right back into the charts. I'm going to show you something about location energy. So an example of how you can use this. And you can use these because you've got ask a question, find your best time, locations, okay? Let's say you want to find out about a place. So this is a test scenario with a test Julianne. So it doesn't actually have my real birth date in here or my real husband's information. But we can go to discover ideal locations and you can include yourself or include somebody else. And let's say I just want to know for this Julianne, where is perfect for me to do this family and home. I can pick it there. I can put a question here. Then I hit discover the locations. And then as I discover it, it's running a clock because when it's cross-referencing, it's getting the cartography. So it can take a few seconds for it to pull and do the numbering. And you'll see here, I do have a little countdown to remind you because it can take a few moments and then it pops up. And then you'll see here that it gives you ratings. So this one was based on settle down and raise a family. Nate's friends. I got a rating of 6.7 out of 10. So it just tells me why it's kind of aligned. Now, if you hit explore, now you got a couple options. You can explore or compare, you hit them there. You can also reflect, so you can add it to a journal. But let's compare. We could actually put this location, and then we have Vancouver, has a little bit of a lower rating. We can compare. So then you could go here, and you're going to see the two compared. Okay, it gives you a little bit, not too much information in here, okay? But let's do this better. Let's go deeper. You can actually go, okay, let's find out why does Nate's France suit me? So you go explore. It brings you to explore a location. It prompts already that location for you from that recommended location for the family. Then I can put in a time period. So you could do Nate's, we could do a current week, we could do in the next 5 years. If you want to put a specific question, again, this was for family, you can add that there, analyze it. So now you went from where the list gave you these suggestions, you can then click to explore more. It brings you to this one, which will then come in and give you a detailed report. So then it tells you how it rates, it gives you details on it, etc., etc. Then what you can do is add to compare. Okay, so then you've got that saved. Then you can go back, explore another location. You can go back to discover your ideal locations. Go back to that, was it family and home? Discover those locations again. And we're going to get the Vancouver, Canada, because that was the second one. Now we're going to explore it. It pre-populates it. We again can put the family in here if you want, or the theme along with it. Now it's going to give you the deeper information on it. So it's going to calculate it. We're seeing it here. Do a little dance while it calculates. That's why I put the timer, because, I know for my own intolerance, I get annoyed if I don't see something or not calculate to count down. So then it talks about this location. And then what you can do is add to compare. And then if you scroll, so if you got the add to compare, sorry, there we go. And then we go to explore another location. Oh, wait, there we go. We got the compare button right here. I was like, where did my button go? I have so many features. I forget where some of my buttons are. You got the compare. You'll see here and you'll see there's two areas, and then it shows you, and then you can get the full reading. How did I save it last time? Maybe I didn't save it the same way. So anyways, you can compare them and bring them up and then cross-reference them. So it really gets the ability to fine tune the information you're getting very easily within itself. So you can pull out locations and then take that location and explore it. And then if you really wanted to save it, you can then add it to your journal. So for example here, and you can again compare them with your journal. So you discover it again, you run it, let's say, I like this, I'm going to reflect on it in my journal. It prompts it, and then you can add notes and save it into your journal, which you can then access on the outside here. You got your journal entry. So I just wanted to show you one of those features. Like we have so many features that are on here at this point. It is crazy. It is crazy. And I really like, it's fun to play around with. I'm going to stop sharing right now. It is a whole lot of fun way to work with it. You can get a lot of good information and it just feeds itself back. So that's the idea. The idea is that this tool will help you answer questions and you can go as deep as you want into it and it will save the information and then you can cross compare locations, information. And that's just one feature. That's not even going into the timing because you can go into specifically when is the best time for you to travel places. You can go into questions about horoscopes, relationships, and then we have all other features as well. Like we got the tarot you might have seen. So it just goes into more and more features. But that is really in alignment with Sunday and Monday about moving forward where the ground feels solid. This app is coming together. There might be some little glitches, like getting some workarounds, making sure everything compares. And no matter what combination you use, everything highlights. That's really what we're fine tuning now for those. There is more that I want to add, but that'll come later on. So it is really about continuing with something that's stable and then putting that effort into it. So let's continue going through the week and let's go into the Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And if you are interested in being a beta tester, so the last call out, like I said, it is in the description for this live. Go to my website, apply, and you will get access to the system so you can play around with it for free before it becomes paid. And if, get a good sense of what it's like, right? Use it yourself. Okay, so let's go into Tuesday and Wednesday. So the 24th, 25th, the universal day is 9. So we're from completion to initiation. One chapter resolves, the next demands clean starting move. So we're finishing a chapter and we're going to a clean new direction. With the elements, the Western is air is in Gemini, and Vedic earth to air, which is Taurus into Gemini. So we've got earth and air. So earth brings in communication, choice, mental agility, and messaging, and earth brings in stability, practicality, pacing, and consolidation. So the combined elements, what we're really feeling is with the air and the earth, favors clear decisions grounded in realism. So real decisions, okay? And that material focus transitions into exchange of information flow. I think I read the wrong one. That's the next part. I'm like, that's why it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's try this again, because I am not AI and I am human and make mistakes. The earth and air favors clean decisions grounded in realism. Ideas need structure. Conversations need follow through. Plans must translate into action. So similar, is a little bit different with the elements. So really, we're looking at conversations need follow through. So if you're going to say it, you got to go forward with it, right? Like that. If I'm going to say this, I'm going to keep building it, right? Like you want the follow through action, that groundedness. And then with the astrology, we then have the Vedic, which is the sidereal moon, is in Taurus to Gemini, which brings in stability, beginning to loosen into conversations and coordinations. Material focus transitions into exchange of information flow. Okay, or material focus transitions into exchange of information flow. And then on the Western, we have the moon in Gemini go with the first quarter activation. So the first quarter is kind of activating the moon. So increased dialogue, decision pressure, scheduling, messaging, visible movement. The first quarter demands a directional choice. Okay. So this period is a pivot point. That's a summary. It's a pivot point. We are in a pivot point Tuesday and Wednesday, the 23rd, 24th, 25th. Okay. So this period is a pivoting point. So, which we are amplifying pressure to choose, followed by clean action. So we're really getting the pressure to choose followed by that stability, that clean action, right? Repeating that same idea, right? So making decisions and taking the first viable steps, how this might look on the collective for Tuesday, Wednesday, is we might imagine important conversations reaching resolution. So maybe there is some actual things coming to an end, some conversations that we're hearing on like more world stage, right, that are coming to a conclusion. Increased communication, emails, scheduling shifts. So we might see that a lot of things, there's lots of communication. Maybe we'll see more emails, normally more on like Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Or just that it just seems like everybody's communicating more, right? For just activating, it's in the collective, right? Uh, Project moving from planning into execution. So there's a lot of people that have been planning. Now you're starting to take those steps. I'm seeing that in not only my app I'm building, but another project that I'm working on, that the steps are going forward, right? And pressure to decide rather than to delay, right? So you've got to, it's better to make a decision than delay the decisions at this moment. Sometimes it's good. We've gone through weeks where there is times where it's better to just let it, don't pressure, don't react to decision, let more clarity come. Today, this week, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, is more the clarity's here. Make a decision. Okay. Just a kind of ideas. Make a decision and go with it versus delaying it. Delaying it isn't going to be of benefit. Now, on the personal end, what we might see in our own lives, I'm going to have a little bit of coffee. I take my lid out because it was so hot. It was too hot to drink. I did take because the lid was keeping it too hot. We have used all our coffee. We were getting some good deals on coffee, and no matter where you are in North America, coffee's expensive. Not as bad here in the United States as it is in the Great White Cheyenne North, being that it is retarded. Kicking Horse coffee, not even a pound, $35.99. Anyways, on that note, we've used all our coffee. We need to go find another deal down here. We'll eventually hit a state that'll find a deal for some coffee. But I do have instant coffee because I'd mentioned before, we prepared, or actually I prepared, which is really the best thing I ever did was preparing for the time when I would have more struggles in this reality and lack of cash. So now I'm drinking my instant coffee and boiling your water and putting it in a metal Contigo keeps it so hot that it takes hours to drink it. Normal coffee does not get that hot. So we're learning how to do instant coffee properly because it never goes bad. Anyways, there you go. There's the story. Okay. So what we're going to feel on the personal side on Tuesday and Wednesday is the need to just choose, right? So just choose, just make a decision, right? Clearing something off your plate and starting fresh, sending a message you've been drafting. So if there's been something kind of sitting, push it, get that draft going, right? And then a new initiative immediately, beginning a new initiative immediately after closing another one. So you finish one and you're going to start something new. Just keep going. Keep in with the momentum, right? That's how we're going to see it or imagine it in our lives on Tuesday, Wednesday. And how to make it through Tuesday and Wednesday? Really, you're going to want to finish what is clearly done. Imagine, just cut that off. It's done. Move on, right? We don't want to carry the old energy into the new shift because we're going through shifts. So it is really like get rid of that old energy going forward. We also, to make it through Tuesday, Wednesday, make a decisive move on the 25th. So Wednesday specifically, make sure you're making a decisive move going forward. And the last part to make it through Tuesday, Wednesday, keep communication direct and practical. So, direct, practical. If you're gonna like to smooth it over, it might not be as clear, right? So that is Tuesday and Wednesday. Hello, Kev. Got pecan and blueberry. Nice. Love coffee. I know. Do you say it pecan? Pecan, because you said it like that. But even though they spell it Pecan, is it pecan or pecan? Are they different? I thought they were the same. Is it like tomato and tomato? And then you just go down the way we say things. Potato. I don't know anybody that calls it potato, so I don't know if that's even real, but maybe somebody does. Or it's like, calling your chips, or no, cookies, biscuits, right? Or like, and then cookies, or pop and soda, and it's just funny. Pecan. I'm sorry, pecan, because that's how you say it, right? Exactly. Exactly. That's how you say it. Pecan. I've been, oh my, it's full. I have to stop because I had this brain thought. Pecan. I'm being conned. Pecan is I can. Okay, that was bad. I know. I'm corny, and let's just continue, and I will stop. I can't spell no more. Don't worry. It's you. You spelt it phonetically. I'm. Hey, that's how I wish English worked. Was actually phonetics made sense in all of our language. Our language is horrific, and comparing it to other languages, instead, I don't know any other language. That's why it makes it more difficult. But English is just. It's I struggle saying English words as my only language, I know. So don't worry, no one's judging. You spelt it phonetically. Okay, let's continue. Going through Thursday and Friday of this week, so the 26th, 27th, we've got the numerical universal numbered days 2 to 3. So from cooperation into expression, partnership energy shifts into visible communication, outward movement. So that's what that stands. The element is water with the Western. In the Vedic, it's bringing air to water. So the combined water and air is we've got emotionally aware communication, conversations carry weight, and messages land more personally. So coordination must consider feelings, not just logistics. Okay. So whatever you're doing, keep people's feelings in mind, right? So, yeah, logistics are important for sure. Always logic does matter, but also consider the emotions. And I'm going to say this message is specifically for my husband who is watching. That is your learning for your feedback. Right there, right here. And I know it's on the dates for this Thursday and Friday, but you got it earlier. Consider feelings, not just logic, okay, Mr. Analytical Logic person. He might have heard my feelings with logic, which actually made me up level and do something better. But I told him he was not appreciating my emoticons, okay, and my emotions, and he was like too logical. So that's a perfect example of going through a time where maybe we have to stop and consider people's feelings sometimes, okay? And that would be a good thing to do on Thursday, Friday. Now, Vedically, in the Vedic astrology, we have the sidereal moon in Gemini from on the 26th and most of the 27th. It does then start to move to Cancer later on the 27th in the Vedic. So what that really represents is information and discussion gradually transitioning into emotional awareness and protection. So the collective tone shifts from coordination towards care. So we're having that, okay, we're coordinating and we actually care, right? That's what we're going to kind of see more on the collective kind of idea. And then the Western astrology, we have the tropical moon is in Cancer both of those days. So even though in the Vedic it's going in the second day, both days it's actually in Cancer under the Western, which is increasing that sensitivity. Okay, so that's the emotions, not just using logics, maybe consider the person's emotions. And it could be, and I'm going to say right now, it's because we're in Cancer, really. Like, you're going to have more emotion. So even somebody who is maybe not as emotionally driven, you could inadvert hurt their feelings because there's a lot of Cancer, as we can tell here, right? So increased sensitivity, home themes, protective instincts, and emotional reactions. So public tones lean towards family, safety, belonging, and emotional memory. So that's the energy of it. So really combine the two different, the Vedic and the Western. It's a soft but important pivot when we come into Thursday, Friday. So day 2, which is the numerology, emphasizes cooperation and relationship dynamics, and day 3 opens communication channels. So with the Cancer in the Western, and then of course the Gemini going into Cancer in the Vedic, words and emotions intertwine, okay? And what is said now has a lasting impact. So whatever you're doing now will impact people, right? So do keep that in mind, especially if, like I'm very much will be somebody who will just say something direct and not necessarily consider people's emotions. But then I'm expecting my husband to expect and appreciate my emoticons. In the scenario I asked him in. Now he knows he has to appreciate my emoticons when I ask him in specific scenarios. But however, I can often be very direct, right? So direct isn't bad, but it's remembering, especially for this week, be aware there's a lot more emotional intensity, right? So, and it can have a lasting impact. We want it to be a positive impact if we're going to do things, not a negative emotional impact, right? Emotionally aware communication is essentially the strongest energy for Thursday and Friday. What we might imagine and see on the collective is conversations, important conversations with family and close contacts are happening. So when we get into Thursday, Friday, maybe we're communicating more with our family, right? More than we would have normally, right? Um, on the collective, also, messages framed more personally than strategically. So collectively, it's like it feels maybe more personal, which I don't I don't know if that's necessarily going to be good. But that is the theme. Messages framed more personally than strategically, right? So maybe we're going to see businesses and stuff. Well, even with myself, like when I'm doing promoting my app and what I'm creating, I am doing it from a personal lens, because the reason I built the app that I've been talking about is because it's something I wanted to personally use. And I wanted something that worked because I personally have low tolerance to having to repeat the same thing every time or multiple times. And that is my problem with AI prompts. Despise AI prompts. Think it is a massive waste and nobody should be allowed to charge them. So you are getting ripped off if you are paying somebody for an AI prompt, because you can make your own up. Practice. Use your knowledge. You maybe look at one person who gave it away for free. It'll give you a really good idea how to make your AI prompts, okay? The idea is, first off, I've seen people selling astrology AI prompts for $144 that you have to legitimately give on a regular basis. And you know what? That's annoying AF. I don't want to. If I'm having a conversation and I'm looking into something in my charts, I don't want to continuously be like, are you still pulling my astrology? Are you still reading the proper charts? And have to constantly reprompt it. That was why I went to the app. That is why we've made this accuracy so it can give the peace of mind to those, especially like myself. Like, I'm not necessarily always about technical. Only when it really matters, I care about technical. And that is in the astrology and the charts. I completely want it correct, right? So adding that accuracy to put that peace of mind. So when you're using it, you can even test it, because if it does start giving wrong information and you're testing it, then I know and we can fix it if somehow my app started to go delusional. So far, it's not. And it's a very, very sturdy and very based and well. But of course, when I'm sharing the story, it is more on a personal level than on than what was it than a strategic, right? Well, it's strategic in that how I made it, but it is on that personal lens. So that's what we're going to really see on the collective side for Thursday, Friday. Now, we may also see public discussions about safety, home, or protection, right? So that might come up. I'm gonna put out the good vibes that we're not seeing something on mass, some event that really stems this as an emotional thing, especially with all the cancer. I'm gonna hope it's more of a natural thing that we're just all discussing more safety, home protection type of ideas. And then also on the collective, what we'll see on Thursday, Friday, coordination that requires emotional intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence. That would be being with the logic, but also keeping people's emotions in perspective. So as we go through Thursday, Friday, what you might see in your own life. So what you might imagine in your own life. Feeling more protective of your space or plans, right? Because it's very emotional. And if we are on the collective feeling that energy and that public discussion of home safety, yeah, on your personal life, you might be feeling more like, I need protection. That's all I can think of is when I was little. Don't know if other people did this, but all I can think of is how I would build on my bed. So when I was little, I had all my stuffies, and I would build like a protection wall of because my bed would be usually against the wall. So where the wall was safe, but the edges of the bed that weren't against the wall, it was a protection barrier, right? So that is how I see it, right? So in our personal lives, we're just putting our little stuffy barrier wall around us. Maybe don't get in all our comfy blankies and protective of our space and our plans, right? That just came to me was that memory. Yeah. Maybe you can relate with that. Choosing words more carefully is also guided in your life for Thursday, Friday, just being a little bit more aware of the wording. Reaching out to connect, especially to family. We knew that energy was coming up, so that might really come up in your own life or you might actually just have events that force you to do it if you have to too, right? Or you'll just have that internal want to be more closer, reconnect, but being aware of the words you're using, right? So if it is somebody that you sometimes have an emotional or difficult relationship with, just be aware of those words, right? Because those can maybe trigger, but can also de-escalate things, right? And then shifting from planning to speaking openly. So it's we're going to personally see from planning to talking about what we've been planning. And that's where I'm at now. I'm now talking about where I'm planning to go with my app, right? So you're going to see that in your personal life. Whatever you're shifting from the back, plan, you're going to start to talk about it. And my only caution, because there's nothing in the astrology that shows caution on it, just because you have your own personal astrology, which again is also enough of a motivation to want to be on my app because you get your own personal daily, monthly, weekly readings anyways that will help guide you that how these things affect you particularly. That's that's outside of the example I showed earlier. Um, but when you're planning and speaking openly, be aware who you're telling your information to, especially if it's something you want to manifest. Because if you tell it to somebody who is not necessarily your biggest cheerleader and fan, and they tell you something that could shut down or hurt how you feel about it, because it is all about emotions, avoid sharing that with them. Okay. Because when we manifest and we speak what we want to create, it comes through the throat chakra, and that can be shut down when we speak something to the wrong people that are not supportive. So that can really kind of encourage or make things like stop us from manifesting, because we don't believe it anymore. It's stuck in the throat chakra. And then, so that's the only thing to be aware of is when you're going through, because there's a lot of family on Thursday, Friday, a lot of communicating, choosing words carefully. So just be aware if you are sharing what your plans are and speaking more openly, that whoever's giving you the feedback to that, or if you are giving it to everybody you're planning, that you are aware of the feedback and you're not going to allow that feedback to emotionally get stuck and stop you, right? So either way. And then as we make it through Thursday, Friday, how you might get through those days is lead with a calm tone, not urgency. So be very calm, not urgent. Just go forward, take the steps. Also, clarify expectations and partnerships, right? That was something now my husband knows. Care about my emoticons when I ask you specific things. So clarify expectations, right? So that's highlighted in Thursday, Friday. Speak directly, but stay measured. So again, very much like I'm saying, be direct, but be aware of who you're talking to and how you're saying it with the words and the emotions, right? And then do not dismiss emotional undertones, because that it could be a problem, because we're all very emotionally, I think there's a lot of emotional doneness, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, finding the scam and having paid for parking and still get our vehicle towed because you can see a systemic scam in Miami Beach, Florida, that is purposely to entrap non-locals, is infuriating, right? It is infuriating. It is absolutely exhausted. And our emotions are done. Like, it's tiring. It is tiring to constantly, no matter, even when you do your due diligence, because you want to be scammed as little as possible. You want to be left alone. You just want to work in a life of ease. Yeah, we're not allowed. You don't have to some stupid shit that you have to deal with. Like, look, you thought you were avoiding all the scams. Well, here's a scam you didn't even know, and there's no recourse, and there's nothing you can do. You can go write complaints. You can go, but if it's systemic, meaning that Jennifer Lopez literally is funding Miami Beach government officials to let her run this bullshit scam with her tow truck company, there's nothing I'm gonna do. It doesn't matter. It's well known when you start looking it up. But what did we learn? Google review parking spots. Go when you're going to a new area that you're going to park, Google review, just in case you run into this scam. Which, like I said, we've traveled North America driving from coast to coast like probably 7 times. This trip, this winter. We started went to Arizona, kind of ended up on California. We're back and forth in that area, ended up to Texas. Now we're back in Florida. This is actually the first time I've legitimately gone coast to coast. Normally, I end up back in Canada and Alberta, which is a province over from the Pacific coast, right? So I think it's almost going across the entire, North America. No, this time we did. And I did most of that driving, hauling my trailer, just to give myself a pat on the back. Or self-floating, sitting in an RV. Yeah. How can you manifest good grades? It's hard work. It is hard work. Everything is hard work. You want to manifest, it's putting effort, but it's also the belief, right? Like if you believe you can get good grades, you're going to get good grades. If you don't believe you can get good grades, you will not get good grades. So you have to believe something first. When you know it's possible and believe it and you're doing the right actions, you will manifest it. You will. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Not everything is going to be as easy as others. And it depends on what topic it is. If it's topics you're interested in, yeah, good grades can be easy. If it's topics you are not interested in, that it's a fight to learn, you are going to struggle to get good grades because it's not interesting. That's how it unfortunately works. I had to force myself to memorize stuff I hated to make it through school to do well. And then as soon as you do the test or whatever, it would all be like gone immediately. And then I would have to work extra hard when it come to like the finals to remember the stuff that I literally just let my brain dissipate because it was so boring and I didn't even want to know it, right? So there's your positivity, practice, work, right? Like everything is anything you want to manifest means you've got to talk about it, you have to believe it, and you actually have to do steps towards it. So it's like me building this app. I talked about it. I started laying out the design. Uh, my husband pushed me because he found a software to start building it in. Then he gave it to me, and I was like, well, it looks cool, but this is shit. It's not doing anything I need it to do. You did not help me. Now I have to come back and build it. I had to put the work into it. And it was me. It was me doing the work, working with the tools I have around, but going forward, working on it to manifest this app that I want to use for myself. Right. And so that's how manifestation works is it does take action. Some people might manifest out, like, oh, I want $1,000,000. Well, the reason they don't necessarily hit that $1,000,000 is first, do they truly believe they can make $1,000,000 or deserve $1,000,000? There's a whole belief system. Do they really have? Then there's another level of what actions are you taking to allow that to come in? Now, majority of people, as I go down and look at charts, very few people have in their charts for immediacy money. Okay, like that it's, and if it is, it's in like one part of their chart in one period of their life. Okay, and it's not, and it's not necessarily sustainable. It's not, because it's like gives them this thing or a big windfall, like lotto winners, right? They win big money, and almost all of them end up broke after, right? There is something about it in their charts. There is an alignment that almost all of them will have that shows up that they have this ability to win money, okay, to have that happen, and that there's a learning that they're learning to lose this money because that's part of their learning. That's why most of them don't do it. It's actually in their charts. That's why most people don't win. You don't have it in your charts. You might win a small, yeah, not impossible for sure. It's not impossible to have things happen to you, but it's not very likely for a lot of us. Very much like I was at this conference and they were talking about promoting to this one lady. She's made all this money being an influencer through Instagram mainly. Instagram and Facebook is literally funding her life, okay? Or it's a couple of them. You've probably seen them. I'm not going to put their names out. Doesn't matter. They've made a whole bunch of money. The one lady, her husband has retired. He's not even working anymore. They travel all the time, and she has bought her dream home. Okay, on influencer money that she only made since 2023, and she's bought that in less than 2 years because she bought her house last year, which was 2025, and she got fired in 2023, which pushed her to do this social media influencer. Okay, so we start looking at it because I'm like, what the heck? I can go put out signs. I can do this. I'm not getting this feedback. I don't have in my charts to get that right alignment, to get that traction. I can use those techniques. They're not going to hurt me, but they're not going to give me the same traction they're going to give these ladies because their signs, their charts allow them to do it. It doesn't mean it's not impossible. It doesn't mean I won't eventually make bang or be somewhat of an influencer and have some money doesn't mean it's not going to ever happen, but it's not going to be like theirs. Their experience that, literally she gets fired. Her story wasn't even that sad. She was down to her last $1,000. Come to me when you're down to your last dollar in your bank account and your bills are due. And that motivated you, right? I'm like, you're down to your last $1,000. You don't even have excess debt. You're not struggling to pay your credit cards and everything's being cut off. That's not you. You didn't suffer that bad. Really, you didn't. But okay, that's your story. I get for you, it's traumatic. Great. Then, literally, in less than 2 years, wonderful. You made all that money. Bang for buck if you can buy your dream home. That's wonderful. But you're promoting something and selling a product so people can follow you and do it, right? Because now people think it's a realistic expectation that everybody should be able to do it. When really that's not actually real for most people to be able to do it. So even if you follow the steps, doesn't mean it's not going to give you some benefit. I definitely agree there's benefit. You want to be on every single social media everywhere. You do want to be everywhere. So whatever you're selling, whether you make something, a service, a business, or you just want to be an influencer, you need to be seen, right? So it's just this weird, interesting thing about knowing your chart. So then you don't sit here going, oh my God, I did all the same things this lady did. And I suck. I'm bad. Why can't I retire? Why can't we just travel the world? Why can't I buy my dream home after putting out, whatever videos for a year and I'm struggling or whatever? The reality is that's not in your charts. Your life is not really supported that way. Again, not impossible, but it's just not going to be defined to get you that the way you think you want it. It may not be possible. Or there may be a different time in your life where it actually is more possible. Then it's like, okay, well, if you know that, you can take those steps and be like, okay, right now I know it's not going to really pay off as much. I'll get slow traction, but I know it'll really pay off that everything aligns. So if I'm working hard now, even though it's not really going to pay off, by the time my charts change and this window comes, I'm laughing because I've built and mastered whatever art form it is, especially if it's an influencer one, right? So there's this whole level of where I feel like influencing can be dangerous because it gives an unrealistic expectation of what, yes, she's essentially a lotto winner online. That is essentially what she is. She's a lotto winner online. That is not the norm. The majority of people are not going to get that success. They're just not. Unfortunately, it's not. No matter what you do, you'll get traction for sure. If you keep showing up and you keep being consistent and you want to manifest, you can make things happen for sure. And you can build people following you and build your brand. Everybody can do that. You can. But whether it's going to take you 3 weeks or 30 years can be completely dependent on who you are, what you're building, and if it's aligned with you, right? Hard work or destiny. Exactly. And when is it both? When is it both? And most of the time, the biggest things that pay off is when it's both hard work and it's your destiny. And those are the things when you create long-term stability. Because if it's just destiny, but there's no hard work, it's not going to be really stable, right? So that's like winning the money is destiny. Oh, I'm destined. I won the money, but there was no stability. So that's probably why they really struggle with that, right? Because there was no hard work built on it. So you can definitely see that when people get handed things, there's no appreciation, not to the same level as somebody who had to work to do it, right? When you work to do it, you appreciate it at a different level. When you work hard to do something and get rewarded, you're like, that felt good. When you're rewarded and you didn't work hard, that's where kind of the influencer thing comes. Now, if you're working hard as an influencer, creating unique information, creating unique content, okay, I will give you that. But a lot of them aren't. They're just repeating the same trends. So they're not even adding value on top. So it makes me also wonder, don't know their charts personally, but it makes me wonder, is that going to be a lifelong destiny or is that just a short-term destiny with no hard work that's going to keep it lasting, right? So things to perspective, like it's the idea is looking at life in a different way. So just because other people have things or things worked out and they did this system, just because you follow those steps, unfortunately, does not mean you're going to have that success. And this is a real part of life that we have neglected in reality, because we've been demonized against astrology, numerology, oracle, anything that gives you guidance has been demonized because God forbid you knew things about yourself and then you decided not to struggle in your life or blame yourself that the reason this doesn't work is it's not even viable at that moment in your life. Doesn't mean it's not always going to be that way, but maybe in this moment, based on your charts, what you're trying to do isn't going to work, right? But if you can start asking questions, start to get a bigger perspective, and you're like, oh crap, this is the time to work and do that hard work, the destiny is going to follow. It's going to happen. I can see it in these charts, right? Putting that in perspective, because I do think, unfortunately, influencers are very dangerous because they give a fraudulent idea of what success is. And that success is not real for 99% of the population. And then I unfortunately think it does overlap with universal basic income, because what they're inherently teaching people is you don't have to work or put hard work in to live the life, get your dream home, travel forever. You don't even really have to produce anything unique or anything of value, and you get this lifestyle that's of ease and wonder. Well, okay, when we have all this new generation wanting to be influencers and they don't cut it because 99% of people aren't able to be influencers, what are they going to do? They're not going to want to work. They're going to see these influencers that didn't work, didn't put hard work in, didn't create anything of value, get handed absolute massive rewards for doing nothing of value, right? Right? And so then universal basic income comes in. Well, you don't want to work. You want to live well. You don't have to work. They don't have to work. Here's your universal basic income. It cycles. And until we as humanity level up to see this psychological insanity, we're going to be stuck here. We're going to be stuck here that some people are leveling up out of that, but a lot of people are trapped in this weird psychological meld of where they think these things are normalized, don't understand it's not going to maybe work for them, and then blame themselves. And then we wonder why mental illness is a problem and people are depressed. Like right now, the charts are not working for a lot of people. You just probably don't know. The collective charts have been crap. And then if you have another overlapping chart alignment, your life could be way more difficult now than it was before. But your life might not, depending on who you are, right? If you can see that, it encourages you, right? Then you're not a victim. Then you're not sitting there blaming yourself either when you don't get the same results as somebody else, because we are not inherently created, unfortunately. We're inherently equal in value of existing, yes, but we are not inherent built with the same equal charts, life, skills, everything. Nothing. We are all so different. We have all different variations of all of it. So none of us are equal, except for that we truly all are equal in holding value of existing, right? So I guess my rant was a side note before I finish this week. Don't compare yourself to other people. It is dangerous to compare yourself to other people. You can have a goal, put that as your goal, talk about it, put out that manifestation, do the hard work toward your goal, and then come and get my app, come and be a beta tester, and use that tool to assist you to keep your perspective real to who you are. Like, is it going to be more work? Is there a time that it looks like this is a good opening, right? Like, more of a realistic expectation of how to exist in this reality. On that note, let's finish the week. February 28th, going to March 1st, next Sunday when we meet. Rabbit, March 1st already. Like, holy crap. And interestingly enough, we have another Friday the 13th in March. And I was like, oh, another Friday the 13th. So as we come through Saturday and Sunday next weekend till we meet again, is we've got numerology, universal day 4 to 5. The structure into movement. Day 4 stabilizes and organizes. Day 5 opens change, flexibility, and momentum. So we have the elemental fields are in the Vedic. We have water to fire, and in the Western, we've got fire. So we've got double fire and water. So we're looking at the fire and water favors heartfelt visibility. So like telling the truth, feeling, okay, like I talk every time. So that'll be even more supported next week. So come back for more heart feelings, some more emoticon truth. Lead with warmth, not force. Create structure first, then move. Expression lands best when it is rooted in care and clean intentions. That's the elements for Saturday and Sunday. With the Vedic, we've got sidereal field in Cancer. So we got the Cancer that goes on to the 27th that starts to go more visible into the 28th and most of the 1st, but then it starts to get into Leo. So by the end of Sunday, it's getting into Leo. And that brings in protection, emotional priorities dominate first. So protection and emotional priorities are first, which we kind of heard from the Thursday, Friday, right? And the emotional, just being aware of that. And essentially when we're talking to people and their emotions, right? Then there is collective energy pivots towards visibility, confidence, and taking up space. And the late shift can feel like a release into expression. So that's the Vedic part. Now, in the Western, we've got the moon in Leo across the window in a waxing gibbous phase. So it's increased focus on performance, presence, creativity, leadership, and public expression. Waxing gibbous amplifies pressure to refine what is already emotion and bring it closer to completion. So just like, let's get it done. Let's get it done because we're opening for that next project, right? Like that next level that we talked about earlier from the week energy. Now, what we're looking at overall, it is a build then bust window, Saturday and Sunday. The numerology 4 wants order and solid plan. 5 wants motion. So Western Leo pushes visibility to visibility the entire time. So the Leo in the Western pushes visibility, and the Vedic in Cancer that turns into Leo makes a clear pivot from protection to expression. So the overall energy of Saturday and Sunday, organize the message and deliver with presence. So have your message clear and deliver it clearly. Now, when we go through Saturday, Sunday, what we might see on the collective, we can imagine creative work moving from planning into showcasing. So maybe we're seeing things being shown very much like this week. Brito was having his new line. He was showing his new art. So it was his exhibition of his new line. I think it's line. I don't know what you call those. They did different types of art, right? And so that seems quite appropriate, right? So like when we get into it, we're seeing creative plans being shown. We also have on the collective a push to be seen, publish, present, or announce. So really that being everywhere, right? Conversations about leadership, visibility, and influence. I literally just had that conversation here with you. Interesting. And we will also see on the collective or imagine protective themes giving away to bold expressions late on the 1st. So protective themes to bold expressions. So that's what we're going to see on the collective. In your life, what you might see next weekend is tightening plans before making a move. So just making sure you've dotted the I's, crossed the T's kind of idea. Feeling ready to be more public after a private reset. So being ready to be more out there, more visual and visible, right? And publishing, presenting, and going live with more confidence. Get more confident. And switching from nurturing mode to leadership mode. So being a leader, not a follower in whatever field you are leading in, right? And then how to make it through the weekend till we meet again, is use February 28th, the last day of the month, to structure, outline, and finalize your plans, and use March 1st to engage, promote, and move fast once the plan is solid, okay? Keep this tone warm and human, not performative. If emotion rises, slow down and return to the message. So that is how to make it through the week. Now, we are going to March 1st. I almost forgot because I've been just too excited about my app, but I do have the March PDF available. It is on YouTube and my fourth wall, and I'll put the link in the description. I didn't get that added this morning, but I will put that in the description for this one, and I will link it to the description. I will link it to the videos, the fourth wall, which will give you access to the March PDF. $5. It's going to go over the entire energy of March and how the month is going to be laid out. So it gives you a nice little guideline. I also have available a new PDF I made as well, which is covering the next 6 months. So it's a guide from March till April and how each month looks and what the energy goes through. It is 25 pages. It's super detailed. If that's something you're interested in, check that out as well at the Fourth Wall, my store there. I'll put those links in. Because I probably need to promote it because we're now in March. I made those like actually a couple weeks ago, and now I forgot about them because now we're at the end of the month because February literally is already over, and I forgot about the month. It's all about Pisces. Exactly, exactly. So if you're interested, the PDF is on my Fourth Wall. You can go check it out if you're interested in more of that, or the March to April, which actually is really good. It's got a lot of in-depth information, all the different months. It goes over deeply March, then April, then May, then June, etc., etc. It's a great little guide. But anyways, I've got lots of things to offer, so check them out. If you want to be a beta tester, it's that one is in the description in the information for it. Check that out, and then I have the PDFs, and I'll put those links out as well. Final, before I let everybody go, let's pull a card on the recommendation as we go through the week. So we have the idea of what the energies are like. We know there's a lot of change and a lot of emotions rising, and being aware of our emotions and ready to commit, finish the projects, and start being more visible and heard. Those are really what we're going through. And if I summarize up the week as per, the first half of the week focuses on establishing, structuring, and stability. Midweek is like the actions, committing to the chosen paths. And by the end of the week is the activation energy. Focusing on the full moon eclipse builds just beyond this window. So it's really just this time to lay those foundations for when we get into that energy. So week's activation energy is activation, not an incubation energy. So it is time to start activating, getting ourselves going. So what message can we just give to top up the session today? The last final reminder as we leave for this week and go off to have our daily little lives. Creativity. Creativity, again, we've gotten this one quite a few times, and it's probably backwards. It's appropriate though. It is, because we talked about this week finishing projects and opening into new projects, and also about how to share and talk about your things and promote your things. So it's going to take some creativity. That is highlighted. This is going to be a week of using creativity to benefit you, because it is, like I said, the energy is activation, not incubation, right? So we're activating, we're going to get creative, we're going to start putting our ideas, seeing them all form and merge together. I get the intuitive thing because it's feeling like this in my life, that the puzzle pieces are all dropping into place. So things I knew that based on astrology and timing, I'm now starting to make sense with things and how things are opening up and how things are falling in place. And this over here from over at this time and this over here from a different time are all coming together, right? So it's now this time is creatively making things work, right? But the creative card really represents new idea, inspiration, or goal, right? Wisdom reminds you to be pure in your intentions and use the power of creativity or creative visualizations to help you manifest your vision. So it's reminding us too, because we talked about manifestation, hard work, and destiny, but we also want to produce and talk about what we want to create. And visualization also helps it to happen, but visualizing without constraints, right? So when we visualize our intent, whatever we want to create, be open to allowing ontology, the energy, the universe to feed you back what that looks like without a lot of constricting details, if that makes sense. So like, as an example, if let's say you really want to put a partner, a spouse, somebody to date, let's say, right? And that's your visualize, that's what you want to manifest. And you're visualizing somebody looking a certain way with all these specific traits that you think you need. That can be very limiting and actually work against you, okay? Because you don't necessarily know. Like if you're limiting what your beliefs are by what you're visualizing, it can make less possibilities possible to manifest. Okay. So it's like you want to put out there that person that's going to match your energy, that's going to be your balance, whatever you want, right? Like that balance, like more in that energetic realm, putting it out there without weird limitations, like they have to look this way, make this type of money, do this and this. They do not fit every single check mark of a box that you have on a plan, right? So it's more of What is most important? Are they a good person? Do they care about you? Are they hardworking? And then have the energy of that is what you want to put out and manifest and create in your life, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. That was the only thing I wanted to put out there is with visualization, don't allow it to limit you. You can see yourself, but see it in like if there's colors like gold. Oh, I want to have abundance. And if you in your mind gold is abundance or green like money is abundance, and you're seeing that energy or that color in that image, right? Like bringing those in, but keeping it more flexible on what we're creating would be my suggestion. Allow the universe to feed us back with as many options as possible versus what we want to create and forcing a little tiny box for the universe to meet us with, which may or may not be possible because maybe that person that meets that little box doesn't even exist on the same continent as you. So it's going to make it a lot harder to find that person. Then you're going to have to work harder to say if you're going to really box that. But on that, take your creativity. The act of creation has already started, right? So this will help you manifest what you want. Be creative. You've already started the act of manifestation through creating the idea alone. So go forward, take your ideas. Let's get these creative ideas working because we are the new. Like if we want change that's real, where we get out of a system where we legitimately have predatory parking lots and tow companies that are known, so locals know it's a predatory system, but if you're not local and you park and pay for parking in a parking lot, but this parking lot is also owned by the tow company and they don't give you proper signing and you're not allowed to actually park there because they're going to tow you and you don't know because you didn't check Google Maps and you're not local. If we want those type of things to stop, because Jennifer Lopez, this fucking company that Jennifer Lopez owns, she's literally must be paying or somebody in the Miami Beach government on the local government is like they're circle jerking each other. Like there's nothing else to it. You cannot tell me that any of that was innocent since I've never experienced that in my entire life as an adult traveling across the country, across North America, up and down and back and forth. We've been to every major city that exists, parked all over. First time I ever ran into this circle jerk scam of the tow truck and the parking lot company literally fucking people over and stealing your vehicle, and then forcing you to come up with cash because you're not allowed to have a credit card because you would fight that after you prove that you paid for parking. So that's why you're not allowed to pay with credit card because they know, and it's well known. And the city knows this. We want that to end. You have to create it. You have to be part of the creating as well. I'm creating stuff. I'm putting out there. Every single one of us has to be the change we want to see. Like, unfortunately, that is be the change you want to see. We have to step it up. We can't control everything. Clearly, I can just learn from these experiences and go, we're going to verify. These places don't even show up on Google Maps because if they show up and there's a Google review for a parking lot, it's probably bad. That's why you don't look. So if there's none, then you're probably okay. Because if there's a Google review for a parking lot, they're fucking people over. No one's ever that happy to write a Google review for a parking lot. So go and double check to see if to avoid being scammed by Jennifer Lopez and her tow truck company in Miami Beach. And I'm going to make this a clip and I'm going to post it and I'm going to post it and I'm going to post it until they can clarify and provide evidence that this is not it, that they don't. That where is the signage? Where was the signage? There was no signage. We paid on the app where they told us to go. I might be a little angry about it. On that note, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, Buzz. Do you say Buzz or Bees? Oh, and I'm glad. I hope the suggestion does help. I do. My intention here is if I can give you guidance through my own personal experience and how I see life, great. Some people don't like it. So if you like it, that's why you're coming, because you appreciate it. So thank you. And I am happy to help, heal, and serve because that's what we're here for. We're here. I know I'm here to assist. Whether that's going to make me an instant, what was the word? Oh my God, I lost the word. I've been talking so long. An instant influencer making so much money I can buy my dream house. Probably not. I don't have, unfortunately, majority of people, I don't have that in my charts. I'm not appealing enough to be the influencer that people want because I talk too much truth and it's uncomfortable. And then I make you reflect. And we're not in a society yet where that is really welcomed. Often people don't want to. They want to blame other people. They don't want to take self initiation. They don't want to take self responsibility. Like, I'm angry. I can complain about this toe tech. I'm going to vocally, I can try to warn people. That's what I can do. And then I learn from it and go, we're going to do our due diligence and we're going to check if we stay in a parking lot or have to pay for parking in a lot, not on the street. We are going to make sure these places are not these hidden scams that do exist, that are promoted by the local governments. Like we have a systemic problem when governments openly do super unethical things because they benefit. The people in the governments benefit. And it doesn't matter if you're in the US, doesn't matter if you're in Canada. The problem is at every level. I mentioned before, I lived in a village, a little tiny village, thinking, wow, out of this city, there's going to be less corruption. I can make a bigger difference. No. It's different corruption at different levels. When it's a little village, it's the corruption of the bad mouthing people because you're in literally one of those psychotic cults where if you aren't popular, you don't fit in, and you can't fit in because you're not from there, so you're never really welcome, and so you'll always be an outsider. That's what happens in little places, right? Then you're like, okay, well, I'll go a little bit bigger. Then I have not seen a structure, not seen any government that exists in first world countries where there is like corruption is at bay. The corruption cannot seep in, take over, and is not running it. We live in a very corrupt society, and that is what is still is Jennifer Lopez is literally paying somebody or the entire freaking council to run her scam. That company, she has a TV show with this company. It's a fucking scam, this tow truck company. The guy, no, my husband called. He's like, I paid for parking. The guy did not disagree with him. He's like, yeah, we have your truck. It's over here. Walk your 5-minute walk. Because conveniently, when I've actually legit got towed, just as a final note, when I've legit got towed, once I didn't realize I had missed because I had parked till 3:30. Then it was, rush hour, and I got towed being in a course and didn't realize I was that late. I missed it by 15 minutes, got towed. Okay, my fault. Totally my fault. I had to take a cab with other people that were at the course that also got towed. We took a cab because we had to take like a half an hour drive to the tow truck area. Every other time I've ever been towed, it's not conveniently 5 minutes from the lot I've been parking at, which again just adds another level of suspicious AF. That's not a plan, that they literally don't have their tow trucks creeping around the blocks where all their lots are, waiting, that they don't care. They don't even care if you paid. They don't. They're going to tow you because you parked there, because they did not care that we paid. And they had to have towed us immediately as soon as we left, just based on the people ahead of us that were towed picking up takeout food. So theirs was $2.50 and they couldn't have been gone more than 10. Like what? How long does it take to go pick takeout food, right? Maybe on the high end 15 minutes, right? I agree. My thing I said to my husband as I was ranting, obviously clearly I said a little rant. Karma. Jennifer Lopez. Karma. Because, you were connected to P. Diddy. There's some karma there. There is going to be karma. But that's also why there's desperation, because she's tied to P. Diddy. So if you know, clearly you should not expect that anything that's owned by any celebrity has ethics. It's not going to. Because they're all horrible. There's very few. If they've left and created their own online personality presence outside of Hollywood weird and didn't get to the A-lister end, they might not be fully corrupted. They might have been the ones that literally chose to leave because they wouldn't do all the opening dirty deeds that the system tests them to see if they can maneuver up, that they're ethically devoid, right? If they're morally and ethically devoid, they get promoted in Holly weird. There is some that don't. That's why they get to a certain level and don't get any further because the ways they test them, they don't pass because they aren't morally devoid. Money doesn't motivate them more than their own ethics. They're more than their own morals and values. They can't just take advantage of people because they care. They actually have some humanity. So Hollyweird does trap the ones that are the narcissistics. They will be the ones that will become the A-listers because they don't care. They really don't care about you. They care about their money. They care about you loving them and adoring them. And then they're, and it's all surface, right? Like, look at how fake they are. They get so much done out of the fear of the wrinkle. Oh my God. The wrinkle that you don't even look human. Like you're no longer even look real anymore, right? So it's like such a weird thing. So when we humans start to be the change we want, we start taking away what value we gave these fake people because they don't have value. They don't. Entertainment value, yes. But is entertainment value worth what they get? Just saying it's questionable because there's lots of entertainment, lots of great creators on all these social medias now that are doing good content and struggle to take off. So you do not need to find good content with Hollyweird at this point, right? But anyways, that was a long rant. I didn't mean to go down that one. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to leave it here. I will see everybody next week, same time. Next Sunday, it'll be March 1st, 11:11 Eastern. I'll come live, and I will, again, be on all platforms, plus hopefully TikTok on top of that. So we'll see how that goes. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you guys later. Become a beta tester. Go check out my PDF. See you later. Oh, like, subscribe, whatever media you're on. Make sure you follow me. Help the AI gods push my content. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I gotta finish this, and I don't know how to end my session. So this could be the next start.